welcome back to the Armenian Museum of America. I'm Gary Lind Sinanian, the curator, and I'd like to share with you today another one of the artifacts from our collection. This is about the British poet William Watson. William Watson was a poet of the late 19th century, 1858 to 1935, who was very prominent in English literary circles. He was the poet selected to do the elegy for Alfred Tennyson when he died in 1892. And he wrote basically a very Victorian style of sonnets. As I said, he was very popular. He was also a real idealist. And when the Armenian massacres broke out in 1895 to 1896, under Abdul Hamid, Watson was very critical of the British government because the British government didn't do anything. For instance, his friend William Gladstone, the Prime Minister, Gladstone is very famous for this phrase, to serve Armenia is to serve civilization. But in point of fact, Britain didn't do anything. They didn't want to get involved. And this greatly upset Watson, and Watson wrote a book of poetry in 1896 called The Purple East. And The Purple East by Watson was critical of the British government, and all of the poems in this are basically critiques of the government. And some of the poems, "The Turk in Armenia," "Craven England," "The Tired Lioness," how long before we get involved, in other words. And each of these poems is dealing with some issues of the massacres, the Hamidian massacres. This is an original first edition. There were only 75 copies of this made. We have one of the 75 in our collection. And then it was mass marketed. And these are examples of the mass market for the public. 1 shilling, and it's the poems of William Watson. And despite the poems, Britain didn't do anything. And this, of course, upset Watson, so he wrote another collection of poems critical of the government called The Year of Shame. And these were published in 1897, the following year. And again, these are poems very critical of the British government and the inactivity of the British government. Like I said, this was published in 1897. However, this copy has an inscription by Watson, "To the Right Honorable William Gladstone, with all my loyalty and reverence, from William Watson, Christmas, 1896. This was published in 1897, so this was one of the first copies printed before it was released, and he gave it to Gladstone. And this is actually from the library of William Gladstone. And this was donated to us by Reverend Anthony Bedikian. I don't know how Reverend Bedikian acquired this copy, an extremely rare copy of the book, but it is now part of our collection. Watson later it was already critical of the British government for not doing anything during the Armenian massacres. A few years later, he became very critical of the British government when it got involved in the Boer War in South Africa. And that basically fell out of favor with the British government and with the British public. And he never became the poet laureate of Britain, although he certainly was qualified for it, but because of his politics, he was not, and he was ignored. And he basically died in obscurity because in 20th century poetic tastes have changed. And so his kind of 19th century sonnets fell into disfavor. And he died in 1935. But he was one of the important figures, championed England in the late 19th century. And in fact, this book here, The Purple East, is where the phrase Abdul the Damned comes from. He used that phrase in one of his poems, and it caught on with society, and they used that very much as a reference to Abdul Hamid. The Armenian Museum is here to share our stories, our culture, our history with you, the public. We thank you for joining us. We hope you'll join us again. We hope you come to the museum. Please visit our website. We have all kinds of activities on the website. We welcome your membership. Thank you.